I am announcing our support for an extensive project to be undertaken by the Municipal Partnership for Economic Development, managed by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Our support will help improve local governance and local economic development planning in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. It will enhance municipal services to businesses and increase revenue generation in up to 45 local governments in Vietnam, Cambodia, Mali, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Nicaragua, and Bolivia. To support this work, the government is making a $18.5 million contribution. The second path in our strategy is growing businesses. The private sector is the driving force behind economic growth that is truly sustainable. Developing countries with diverse and healthy private sectors typically have higher levels of growth and poverty reduction. Yet in the developing world, many people, especially women, face constraints in establishing and growing their businesses and fully contributing to the economy. It's imperative that we help enterprises in the developing world become more productive, more competitive, and more sustainable. Each element in an industry's value chain must exist and be present. And we should promote the processing and value-added activities are undertaken in country. This would retain the market value potential in the community and in the developing country. Too often, small or medium-sized enterprises in the developing world will originate a great idea for a product, only to watch it fail because they lack the necessary tools to turn concepts into commercially viable success stories. Canada can offer guidance on how to build a solid business plan, on how to identify potential markets and research their target markets, on how to build strong professional and commercial ties with other firms and professionals that can help them get ahead. And we can increase their access to tools that will allow them to keep up in an increasingly competitive international marketplace. Technologies and innovations that we take for granted, like the mobile telephone connectivity, more reliable sustainable energy sources, and waste management systems, for example, can greatly improve a developing country's entrepreneurs' odds of success. But even the best new technologies, for example, will do little to place businesses on the road to good economic health if entrepreneurs lack the financial means to launch their business or grow it once it gets off the ground. In that regard, we must help businessmen and women in developing countries gain better access to credit, insurance, and financial services, including microfinance products. And we must help bridge the gap between microfinance and mainstream banking services. In the spirit of our growing businesses focus, I'm pleased to also announce today that Canada will support the Aga Khan Foundation Canada in their work in Mozambique to increase agricultural production capacity, improve access to financial services, and broaden market opportunities for individuals and households. This project will improve agricultural productivity, increase food security and nutrition status of people, and broaden market opportunities for up to 35,000 households in 7 districts in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province. The project includes comprehensive, systematic interventions in the area of agriculture, enterprise development, savings and credit, and community development. Canada will provide $13.2 million to support this project. The final path in our sustainable economic growth strategy is, I believe, the critical piece of the puzzle. investing in people. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has said that meeting the Millennium Development Goals is about tapping into the potential and dynamism of the emerging economies and developing countries. It is about generating growth, global economic growth, and this starts with people. I agree. It starts with people. People who can create and seize economic opportunities, and people who will fill jobs, start businesses, and invest in local economies. In the developing world, success calls for us to help the poor, particularly women and youth, rural and urban, to develop new skills and expand their knowledge base to meet the challenges that limit their opportunities. The first essential is to have an educated and literate population. Then, it is critical to have a trained workforce with the skills needed by industries and businesses as they grow and expand. Skills training is as necessary in the traditional sectors of farming, fishery, and forestry, for example, as it is in the emerging sectors of computer programming and business management. Likewise, a developing country's investments in its citizens, in their skills, in their education, are as critically important to sustainable economic growth as investments in heavy machinery and equipment, roads and bridges, or power plants. Investing in people is vital. We work with countries facing enormous demographic challenges, such as the growing youth population. Without hope for a productive future, the choices available to youth in developing countries may be limited to choices such as crime or joining rebel or militant groups. That's why I introduced CIDA's Vocational and Skills Training for Employment program. This means supporting training in skills needed by local employers. Our efforts must also target women. Women are involved in all elements of developing world economies, from food production to income generation to the management of natural resources and community organizations. They are, quite literally, I believe, the backbone of the world economy and the key to healthy families and communities, particularly amongst the poorest of these. I recently read that women produce 50% of the world's food, do 66% of the world's work, but earn just 10% of the global income and own just 1% of the world's land. In fact, they account for 70% of the world's poor. Gender equality is therefore critically important to sustainable economic growth. CIDA will continue to build on its efforts to increase access to basic education and literacy, to quality vocational and skills training, as well as help countries improve their teacher training and curriculums. We believe that helping countries to better invest in their people, more working-age adults will gain marketable employment skills, and more workers will acquire new knowledge and skills that increase their productivity. To help advance this priority, today I'm pleased to announce our support for the African Grassroots Economic Security through Education and Skills Program in Ethiopia, Ghana, Mali, Senegal, and Tanzania with $15.6 million. This program will help girls and marginalized children and youth access quality basic education and will provide vocational and entrepreneurial skills to youth and